So we ended the last video with instructions for students to at least get this table, and if you're going to use the pivot table, get to this point. So to get all these formulas, and then the pivot table. If you're going to use the pivot table, some people might say, I don't want to use the pivot table, I'm going straight to the form. And that'll be fine. But if you're going to use the pivot table, or if it's new, pivot tables are new, then there's your pivot fields. All right, so what you'll do is you'll copy the pivot table over, and then you'll paste it with one of these. Pick the one. I think I did that, values only. And yours will not look this nice. I added columns. And after I added the columns, I did what I'm doing. I'm holding the control key and I'm highlighting these little narrow columns. And I think it looks better if it's 1, not 2. Right now they're 2. They look much better at 1, I think. So that's a neat way of doing that. But before you do the columns, you want to get your line here and then do your columns. You can just do the line this way, the bottom border. And then you want to do your top border and double underline right here. And then when you do the little tiny columns, it'll separate out like I have. And then you'll have your dollar signs, and do your dollar signs on the top and bottom, and then these are the comma. All right, so several things I want to show you about this table, and I'll let you guys worry about making it look good. So date without time, equal to day, open parentheses, close parentheses, nothing in the parentheses. If you want to do military time, text equal text now, open parentheses, close parentheses, comma, quotation mark, mm/dd/y space hh colon mm colon ss quotation mark. And then if you want AM and PM, you modify what was above and add AM and PM. If you want seconds, it's comma SS right there. And if you don't want seconds, it's comma no colon SS. Okay. So point. Why did I do that? It's just to show you there are a million different ways of getting something done in Excel. All right. So in the solutions that you're provided, when you're looking at it, you can tell this row 11 is the sum for ACCT. And then this is the average for that days outstanding. I didn't want to do that. And I created a table, so I didn't do that, right? So I didn't think it was useful to do that. And I thought it was, I didn't want to do it. I'm just being honest with you. That was my alarm. I would rather not going off, but I got a battery issue. And so I wanted to use a pivot table, and I saved that step. But I didn't get to do the 38 average days outstanding. And that was fine because I knew I had this formula in Excel, and I really want to share it with you because I think it's one of the most useful tools. So what we have here is equal average if. And let me show you the formula. I'll just go right here. So equal average if. And Excel will give you the formula, and it'll say what range. And we'll go to the table, and the column that has all the customer names on it, we'll highlight it. And then the criteria will always be this cell right here, Acme, Dayton, Main Street, Smith, whatever. And then we'll say, what range do you want to average? And we'll highlight days outstanding. And I'll show you more detail in a second. So what we're saying is, from the column with all the company names, that's the range. Criteria, find all the rows with Acme. ACCT. And every row with ACCT, average to days outstanding, 38. All right, so let's look at the formula. Whoops, let's get rid of it. Let's look at the formula. Customer is table 1. That's the table that I created. Customer name, AC8, which is this right here, AC8. And then it says go to the days outstanding. So let's look at that. Column 1, or customer name. Criteria is over where we just were. We'll look at that in a second. So this is the first array. Pick companies from this array, and then days outstanding. All right. Let's go back and look at the formula one more time. Customer name. Identify every customer name from that first range. The criteria is ACCT. And then when every ACCT in that first column, customer name column, average up the days outstanding. Now the neat thing is about using a table and this cell right here, I can copy this formula. Let me just do this. I can copy this formula down, and every time it goes down, it's going to look for the company that's on the same line. Dayton, Main Street, Smith. Let me show you. So it copied the formula down, and instead of being criteria being AC8, it'll be AC9 here. AC9, which is column AC, line 9. And then Main Street is AC10, and it's AC10. But it's still got the same column 1 names, and then days outstanding column. Okay, pretty cool. All right, one last thing. We got to get the percentages. So the formula is, and let me go ahead and just show you the formula because it's really cool. Now I'm going to do this when you submit your Excel files. I got all the formulas. These are from video 1. If you choose to do a pivot table, then you'll leave your pivot table and I'll see it. See, the pivot table with control and the button, I call it squiggly, that little squiggly line between wall and mark, that's the same button. And it's right above your tab key. So you press that button above the tab key, control and squiggly at the same time, and it reveals these formulas. Well, anyway, with your pivot table, I'll just click in here and I'll go and look at the fields. Back to where we were. So the percentages, so the invoice total will be the total divided by itself. 147,047 divided by itself is 100%. What we want to do is in the formula, we want a $sign before the column letters and a $sign before the row number. And that way we can copy it through here to these other columns. And no matter what we are dividing by the numerator, the denominator will always be 147,047,89 because we said it's fixed, absolute, don't move it. So I'm going to go back into just a view mode, and we're going to do it together. So equals 147,047 divided by itself, and it's 1. I don't have it in percent. There you go. Now we need to make it absolute. We go and put the cursor right in front of A, press F4, and we have $AG, $12. You could have typed in the $signs if you wanted. Now the neat thing is, when I copy this formula to this cell, it will be 14,975.98 divided by 147,047.89. And the reason it's going to stay 147,047.89 is because of that absolute value, those $signs, okay? So what we'll do, if you like to right click, paste, whatever, I'm going to do Control C, and then I'm going to hold down with the control button all these cells, and I'm going to press Control V. And it's automatically going to put the formulas in. And as you can tell, the formula is AI12 divided by AG12. And AG12, 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 whoops, AG12, AG12, okay? I don't need that second row, so I'm going to get rid of it. Now, that's how I do it. Your variation, you may do it differently. I'm not looking at keystrokes, I'm only looking at results. And then again, I just go control squiggly and I'll see your formula. All right, so let's talk about this. I really think that so many people are taught, oh, when you need to center something, you just go to this little button right here, merge and center, and it's going to be perfect. It is awful. If I want to add up that column, I can no longer add up that column. I can add up this, but if I need to grab that row, I can't. See what happens? I'm going to hit backspace or undo, and I'm going to show you what to do instead. So highlight this range. Click Format and go to Center Across Selection. Bam. If I did that, I am not prohibited from adding up that column, which right now you're thinking, oh, well, aging is going to cause an issue. No, aging is still right here in Excel's world. Besides that, I can add. And I even did these with that same command. Now on a heading, if you wanted to use merge and center, I think that's fine. But I just got in the habit of just highlighting the range that I need and right clicking and going to format. You could go through here, the menu, if you wanted to. And center across selection and being done, okay? Now one more thing. I did this box a little differently than the solutions. Go to format and wrap text. Let me show you what happens. I can make this column wider and it flattens out. I make it narrow and it shrinks and it puts it, on two different lines in the same cell. And there you go again. I shrunk the column even more and it automatically wraps the text in that cell, which I think is pretty cool and it makes it look neater. So mine's a little different than what you see in the solutions. The point of this exercise is to give you some hints, teach you some things about Excel that you might not have known, make the project not as, depending on your current knowledge of Excel, help you with this project, and also to give you some tips and tricks to help you excel. So if you have any questions with the project, please feel free to email me.